In this video, we'll talk about the automatic presenting door handles with RGB color installation for the Juniper Model Y. First, you want to remove that rubber trim, then this plastic trim on the right side of your dash. Then remove that clip. That clip removal allow you to pop open this L-shaped carpeted door sill, place that aside, untangle the harness that came with the kit. This is the red and black harness, so you would be fishing that through from your actual front. Remove that bolt 10mm and you will connect it to that AMD plug. Now go to your front, pop open the vent cover, and once you pop this open, you will have access to be able to run the wires through to this actual opening. So you want to cut a little slit through that rubber grommet and fish through that power cable. So the black and red wires. You want to pop down this cover right on the right side of your passenger side. Fish the wire through, and then once from the front to the cabin, you will tape the harness and then pull it through. It is that simple. Make sure you bend the actual clip, metal clip at the end of the red and black wires, give it more space. Connect it to the power wire, and that is your 12-volt lithium battery power. Tesla does have that red cover. All you need to do is screw it in. Once you screw it in, get the ground wire in and plug it into the Bluetooth computer module that came with the kit. Now you will be removing the door panels, but no more fishing. So the most difficult part is complete. Go ahead and place on gloves. Without gloves is fine. Remove that reflector. There's a 10mm bolt behind the front two doors. And there's also another 10mm bolt underneath the door switch and underneath the armrest. Then you want to pry open the speaker cover. And once you remove that speaker cover, there's actually a clip that you want to remove and disconnect that speaker cover and speaker itself. Now go ahead and pry the bottom slightly. Use a microfiber towel if needed, but with the pry tool, you just need to pry one clip open and you can take the whole door panel off. Make sure not to pull the whole door off. There's a connector with the manual release that you need to unplug. And make sure you unplug the other additional wires. Then you'll be able to move the actual internal door panels, place it somewhere else out of the way. So those are all the plugs that you need to disconnect. And again, use the pry tool to assist with any of these clips. Again, they're just wires. You're not disconnecting any wires from the OEM harness. Everything will be connect as plug and play. So once you have all the wires removed from the door clips, now you can move on to remove this actual rubber seal, the one that is preventing the glass hitting the door panel. And then go ahead, remove those garments, and then remove the outer trim. So these trim just slide right out. You want to use 2 tape and just cut a slit between the glass and the actual door trim. This will help you line up the window as it was originally on. So once you have that in place, go ahead and remove these bolts. And by doing that, you want to manually lock the door so the window actually tilt up. Remember not to close the door during this process until you reinstall everything. So again, there's 2 bolts. Remove those 2 bolts, one at the front of the actual door towards the top and the other towards the back. And once you remove it, if you have a magnetic socket, that is ideal, so the nuts does not fall in there. But if it does, you can still remove it. Now that will allow you to remove the window, and go ahead and disconnect the other wires on the door, the blue wires, and then also all the clips that holds the wire together. There's a red clip that connect to the actual motor of the actuator and also the speaker. So you want to disconnect everything because you will be removing this black trim. And don't worry, these are all one piece once you remove all the nuts. And there's quite a few of them, so just work your way around each of those nuts and bolts and just put them in a safe spot. We'll be using them again to reinstall everything in reverse order. So there are hidden screws and nuts behind those grommet as well. Then once you have it, pry it open, slide it outward from the bottom and then down. And then disconnect the actual door handle. And then there's bolts that you also need to remove. Ideally, you want to have a small socket wrench to make it easier for the removal versus manually removing it. And once you remove the actual OEM door handles, you can go ahead and install the actual connector. So you do need to remove this connector from the OEM door handle and transfer it over to the hand show automatic presenting door handles. So you place it on using the same screw that came off the OEM door handles and screw it on. So you can't mess this up, the plug face down. Once you have it transfer over, go ahead and install the hand show automatic presenting door handles using, again, the same screw that you took off of the OEM door handles to screw back on. And once this is screwed back on, you will reinstall everything in the reverse order. So again, using a small socket wrench will make life a lot easier. Test out the door handle, make sure it's not wobbly and everything is all tightened up, don't over torque it. Plug in the wires from the vehicle to the new hand show automatic presenting door handles. Tuck away the wires and make sure all the wires are plugged in completely. There is a computer module connected to the door handle that speaks with the computer module on the passenger side door that you installed earlier in the video. And now go ahead and release the lock. And then reinstall the black panel using all the same screw that you removed earlier. Again, there's two top screws behind those grommet. Make sure you reinstall those grommet and then screw back on all the other screws to hold back the window actuator panel. If you have an impactor, it is ideal to use this to remove and install the bolts and nuts back on. It will decrease the installation time. Now go ahead and plug back in all the harnesses and wires back to the OEM plug. Reinstall the window, line it up with the tape that you put on the window and the door earlier. Once you line it up, go ahead and install the window by screwing back on the bolts. And now the panel goes back on. Make sure you plug everything into place and put all the clips back, including the manual lever. So the manual lever is really just the wire, and then all the harness does have a clip that cleans up the wire and organization on the door. So once you have all of that, reinstall, plug back in all the wires, and that will allow you to reuse all the door switches and buttons as OEM. And that is the whole installation process. Once you put all the panels back, you can go ahead and reinstall the actual door trim between the window from the outside to the inside. Again, reinstall the internal panel, and again, you just slide it from the window down at the angle and then push the clip in from the bottom. Now reinstall the speaker and speaker cover. Again, plug it in place it down, push it in and downward. Reinstall with all the bolts, 10mm underneath the armrest, behind the door, and also underneath the door switch. And now it works just like any other automatic door handles in past Model Y. The rear door, the actual rear door only has 2 bolts. So only 2 bolts are holding it down. There's no reflector bolts. And again, you want to install this in the same manner. Remove the internal door panel and also unplug, unclip all the wires and harnesses. One good thing about this new kit for the automatic door handle is that you do not need to fish the wire from all the way on the right side of the A pillar all the way to the driver's side, past the B pillar, and through the grommet. You do not need to fish it anymore. It uses a Bluetooth connectivity that speaks with the actual computer module, so this will save time with the installation, possibly cutting the installation time in half. For the rear doors, again, using the tape method to keep the window aligned. When you remove it, the whole process is similar to that of the front door. You want to remove the internal panel, the window, line up with tape, and then the actuator cover, which is what we're removing here. All the bolts, again, around the actual black cover, you'll be removing that just like you did for the front doors. And once you have these removed, you will remove the actual panel just like you did for the front door. Once you remove all the bolts, including the 2 top ones that hold the actual actuator, you'll be able to pop the bottom and then slide it down. Once you slide it down, unplug it, and you have access to the door handle. Again, there's 3 bolts, 10mm holding these door handles down. So again, removing the OEM door handle. Once you remove it, you will need to transfer the actual plug adapter from the OEM door handle and transferring over to the Hanschel auto presenting door handles. Using the same screw that came with the vehicle, you unscrew this connector adapter on. Reinstall the door handle, but this time with the Hanschel automatic presenting door handles. All the same screws are back on. Manually put them on with your fingers and then tighten it down with a small wrench. Plug in the wire and the computer module, and now you have access to speak with the main hub that you install at the beginning of the video. So again, no fishing of any wires. Very easy install once you have all the panels off. And make sure you clean up the wires, use the zip tie accordingly to be able to organize the wires so when the windows come down, it does not get stuck with the wires. So very important to tie up and zip tie with the existing wires inside the door, and then reinstall the actuator panel. And again, using all the bolts that you took off earlier in reverse order, screw back all the screws and put back all the grommet. And the window goes back on, line it up with the tape that you tape between the window and the actual door. Then tighten up the bolts on both sides to hold down the actual window itself. And plug back all the wires. Make sure all the grommets are back on. Once that's installed, go ahead and put the rubber seal on both sides of the window. And then now reinstalling the internal door panel. Again, plug everything in, line all the clips up, organize the wire where it originally was placed, and clean up the noise dampening cover. And reinstall this again. You want to slide it down from the top at an angle and then push the bottom in, and with the 210mm bolt, you're basically finished with 2 doors. So it shouldn't take you no more than an hour per door. You should be able to install this within a few hours. Now go ahead and clean up the wires in the passenger side. So using the zip tie, or you can use electrical tape. Tuck this away behind the actual A-pillar on the passenger side. And place back all the cover, including the one underneath the glove box that you opened earlier, and the L-shaped door sill. Place back the right side of the dash cover and the rubber seal. And if you're interested in this product, check it out. Link in the description of this video.